Welcome to the Wealthy Actor Podcast. I'm Valerie Hubbard, an industry veteran with 25 years dedicated to helping actors navigate the business side of their craft.
And I'm James Hallett, a fellow lifelong actor and coach, joining Valerie on this journey.
Here on The Wealthy Actor, we're diving deep into the stories and insights of actors from all walks of life.
We'll be unraveling the threads of success, failures, and everything in between.
So if you're ready to embark on a journey beyond the footlights, join us as we sit down with fascinating actors, industry experts, and thought leaders to uncover the secrets of becoming a truly wealthy actor. I'm Valerie Hubbard.
And I'm James Hallett.
And this is the Wealthy Actor Podcast, where the art of acting meets the business of building a truly prosperous life in the spotlight. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Wealthy Actor Podcast. This is Valerie Hubbard, joined by my co-host,
James Hallett. Hi, Val. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too, Mr. James. I am so excited for our guest today. Yay!
Yeah.
Elina Golde. Let me tell you a little bit about her. Elina is a New York City-based actress, dancer, and model. Prior to acting, Elina built a career as a ballet dancer performing with the world-renowned American Ballet Theater. She was the first ballerina from Finland to join the company. After spending a decade with ABT and touring the world, Elina discovered her love for acting. Since 2019, she's been pursuing acting in the film and TV industry. Elina's latest TV credits include guest starring roles on Law & Order, The Big Leap on Fox, and co-starring role on FBI. The latest award-winning film, Hedgehog, in which Elina played a supporting role, made waves at the film festival circuit and won Best Short Film at several festivals internationally. The film had its West Coast premiere in Hollywood at the Chinese Theater and became an Oscar-qualified short film. Elina appeared in many dance magazine covers and modeled for Bridges, CR Fashion Book, and Vogue Online. And Elina launched her one-on-one ballet coaching business in 2022, teaching ballet in New York City and virtually nationwide. Welcome, Elina Golde.
Thank you. Nice to see you, Val.
Nice to see you too. We have so many stories to talk about, but I think one that I talk about a lot with you is the big leap. About you with my other clients is the whole thing that happened with Big Leap. So because it's such a great story, because you advocated for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so can you talk to us a little bit about that story, a little bit about booking that? And that was a beautiful guest star. And I also want to say one other thing. When I first met Elina, some coach somewhere had told her she probably shouldn't talk about her ballet. I know. I was
I forgot about that. I'm like, did I tell you that?
So for those of you who can't see us and you're just hearing us, my mouth dropped open because it's like people tell actors not to talk about these amazing skills they have and career identities and things they can do. And it's like, there's always someone out there who's going to be like, that's exactly what we need. Right?
Yeah.
Right? Hey, go ahead.
True.
Yeah.
So tell us the story of the Big Leap, because that was your first big guest star, correct?
Yeah, that was my first TV credit in general. And people were like, how did you book a guest star before a co-star? And I was like, well, I guess it's the ballet skill. So I had a relationship with Tiffany Little Canfield for a few years prior to that. And we've been Facebook friends for a long time because she used to come to ABT and bring her sons to see the show. And at that point, I wasn't even acting yet. And I remember after I took your course and you're like, you have to, follow up with these people. You have to push yourself. And I remember going to LA, I think it was 2021. And I was like, who do I know from casting directors in LA? Tiffany, let me reach out to her. And so I Facebook messaged her. It wasn't even like a professional email or anything. I just Facebook messaged her and I said, hey, I'm going to be in LA. Just wanted to see if you wanted to grab a cup of coffee. And I thought it was a little ballsy. I'm like, she's probably not going to have a cup of coffee with me. But I just figured, And so then she got back to me literally instantly. She was like, oh my God, I'm so happy you contacted me right now. She's like, I have a role. We haven't been able to find anybody. And I was like, are you kidding me? And so she was like, who are your reps? Let me send the sites to them. And so she emails my manager. And then literally like an hour later, I'm preparing the sides. And she's like, can you tape it later today? So turns out they had put out an Actors Access casting call for an actress with professional ballet training. But I have no idea how I never got that audition, how my reps maybe didn't see it, how I wasn't submitted. Like, I don't know what happened. I don't know what the breakdown even said because we never got to see it. And so, but she said basically whoever was submitted, whoever was auditioning wasn't right for the part, and they just didn't have that level of ballet skill. And it was actually very surprising because I talked to some of my friends who were also like Anais was a professional ballet dancer, you remember, and everybody's like, we never got any kind of auditions like that. Anyway, so I put myself on tape and I was still kind of starting, like I was, a couple of years in the game maybe at that point. And so Tiffany emailed me and she's like, hey, let's do a call back. I'm gonna help you out a little bit. And so she sent me the link. We had a call back. I think it was actually the next day. So I worked on it a little bit more. And she was great. She was very helpful. And she was like, that's it. I'll let you know. And so they sent my tape. And the next day I booked it. And
But
honestly,
there
it
was
was
also a problem with your agent sending the tape.
what happened because I had to go through my agent. So sent him my file. And then I don't know what happened. It was like hours. And I saw, because on WeTransfer, you can see if it's downloaded. And so it wasn't downloaded. And I knew it was like a rush thing because they literally needed me on set. I think it was like 3 or 4 days later in Chicago. And I was in LA because the show was filming there. And I kept calling him. And then I told Tiffany, I was like, hey, he hasn't downloaded it yet. And so I ended up sending the associate casting director, I think it was Josh, I forgot his last name, but she was like,
Eisenhorn.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And so she was, you got it. And so she was like, send it to him because we need to review the tapes today. And so the next thing I knew, I booked it. And then my manager was like, oh, you booked the role. And I was like, well, duh, I know. Like I did all the work. I'm like, okay. And I still had to pay him the 10% or whatever it was. But it was
It's so
like,
funny because I remember you calling me and I was like, just call them directly, just send it like, right.
yeah,
And it's
yeah,
like, because I've been, we're so frozen by rules and things we're not supposed to do. And yet,
Yeah.
and that's why I always tell that story because I thought, you totally advocated for yourself. And I love that.
yeah. Yeah, it was just the right thing at that moment. But then, like, sometimes, you contact somebody and then you hear from the agent, hey, they don't like being contacted. Like, don't, so then you're like, what? You don't know when you're doing the right thing and when you're doing the wrong thing. So it's confusing in this business, honestly.
Mhm.
You brought up something which is really, your story is really powerful by itself. Like your story of how you handled it and reaching out and the relationship is really powerful. But it also speaks to a larger issue, which is that if it hadn't been transparent, if you hadn't known the back end of the relationship, you might not have known that you missed an opportunity. And that speaks to all of us because it's like you were in charge of your business. You were on top of
Mm.
it. And because you were in a place of authority, you were aligned as the business owner and you were able to actually check in and make sure that the materials got to the right people at the right time. And that is such a fundamental, I mean, good on you, right? Because you stood in that place of power. But for everybody listening, this is a great lesson and a reminder. This is your business. You've got to be on top of it. You can't let somebody else be in a place of authority in your business.
Yeah.
I love it. This is great. Such a great, powerful story. And it just speaks to you and the whole question of you reaching out in the first place, right? Like, you're like, I don't know if it's okay. And it's like, well, in a funny way, it's like this is where we all get stuck, right? is it okay to be in communication? And the answer is
Yes.
yeah, when it's authentic, right?
Yeah.
Like when it's authentic and we're reaching out and we're just saying who we are, establishing our value in the world. Yeah, it's great.
And you had something she
You know,
needed.
that's
Yeah.
right.
You had something she needed, right? And so, like, I love when people say, well, casting directors don't like it. Well, clearly you don't know what you have, right? And you're not reaching out, to the person that needs what you have. Because my experience is I never have a problem because I know what I have. And if I know the casting director needs it or is doing a show like, Anais, for instance, did a whole pitch video for Etoile. She
Mhm.
got on Etoile, right? She did a
Yeah.
whole pitch video for them
Mm.
because she knew that she had something that they needed.
Yeah, totally. And it was the craziest thing was when I got there. First of all, they like flew me first class and I had like a driver pick me up with my name at the airport. I'm like, whoa, is this what it is? It's like my first TV credit in ever. And I felt very special. But anyway, so they put me in like five-star hotel and all that. But then after that, it was like a couple of years I wasn't booking, like, wait. But anyway, but so when I got to set, they were like, we're so happy we found you. I was so confused because they're like, we couldn't find anybody with we needed a ballet like a ballet, professional ballet level, and they could. I was so confused.
This is so powerful, right? Because this is that thing of like, how do we get ourselves out in front of the right audience?
Yeah,
And you did, but the shock is that they didn't know how to reach you, right?
yeah.
Like they didn't know how to find you.
I
And
still don't understand that. I
Yeah.
don't understand the breakdown thing.
this is ask Valerie her opinion.
Well, I mean, the breakdowns have been breaking down for a while,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah.
so what I'm teaching now is more pertinent than ever before because I just had a really top manager tell a really top client of mine who's like been the lead in two Netflix series that she couldn't rep her because she has people that have been nominated for Oscars that she can't get auditions for. Okay, well, that doesn't make any sense to me because there's more work than there's ever been before. But what's
Yeah,
happening is people are just going around the old systems, right? Because the old systems are broken down and they're not working anymore. And so there's all this level of other actors that are still waiting in line for the old system to work. And there are plenty of people that are giving advice. Like I saw someone give advice about pitching last night, which I had to write. They wrote a whole thing, about pitching on, and I was like, okay, well that's great if you're talking about 20 years ago, but like
yeah,
the agents aren't pitching anymore. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, maybe if you're with UTA and CAA, but they don't, it's like that's gone. People don't pick up
yeah.
the phone anymore,
They don't
right? And
pay.
so I
Yeah,
like there's a lot of old school advice out there. And the truth is, like, when I heard that manager say to my client who just starred in her second Netflix series that she couldn't work with her, I was just like, something is up. And I think the agents are feeling the same way that we are feeling, and the casting directors are feeling the same way because the systems, the roads from which we have traveled are broken down. They're broken
yeah,
down. And so what's happening is sort of like the wild, wild west. It's been happening for the last 10 years, but it's like amped up now. And so you really have to be friends with the decision makers more than ever before. You got to get your relationships going with those people. But it's so funny because another thing you made me think of was, not saying what you're doing, because we had a co-client, Alexander, who was from Russia, and
Mhm.
people told him he needed to lose his Russian accent.
Yeah.
And then I have a client who's on the number one show right now on Netflix, America's Next Top Model, the documentary about it. She was in the first season. She's interviewed and everything. And her agents told her that they didn't think it would help with the crossover.
Yeah, the accent thing is confusing. I've been told all kinds of things about my accent.
But I think
Keep
like
it, don't keep it. It's like,
yeah,
what?
yeah.
Yeah.
You have it. You have it. So it is what it is. It's not
Yeah.
that strong with you. But I think that the whole thing is like, agents are just as lost as we are in a lot of ways and not understanding what do you mean crossover. If someone gets big on YouTube or TikTok, they can get a series. It's,
Right.
it it's all about level of people knowing you.
Mm.
Doesn't
I,
matter how you get there.
Yeah.
I agree. And also, if we know our value, then we stop undermining the core essence of what we are. And,
Mm.
I mean, there's so many actors who are known for their distinct voices, right? Where it's like if you heard the actor speak, you'd be like, oh, I know who that is, right? And so why are people saying you can't have this accent, you can't have that sound, you can't have this? Because the truth is that these are all distinguishing factors. And, I mean, this it's such a conundrum because you're not valued until you're valued. And of course, the equivalent of that is that they say like, oh, that like if you're a screenwriter and you read a spec script, and someone says, oh, you can't do that. It's set in the golden era of the United States, and that requires all costuming and right, and that's true until someone succeeds and has a show out there, and then everybody wants to duplicate it. So so the equivalent here is that your dance skill, your accent aren't valuable until they're a commodity, until it's like recognized and suddenly you're flying first class and staying in a five-star hotel, which
Wow. Yeah. No, it's crazy because I've even talked to some dancers who told me that they were like, I've deleted all my dance credits from my resume, so I'm viewed as an actress and not a dancer. And then I thought for some time maybe that's the case because even one filmmaker, I like ran into him at an event once and I said, "Hey, I submitted for your film." Here in New York. And then he said, "Oh, yeah, I remember, but I thought you were more of a dancer than an actress." And this was before I had acting credits. So maybe some people do have that kind of narrow-minded mentality. But then if there is a project where they need somebody with that skill, it will work out. But yeah, sometimes you just hear those things and it's very discouraging. And you're going to have to just remember that you're unique and you have that skill and you have to kind of advocate for yourself.
Yeah. And you did. I mean, one thing you did early on was you changed around your website, right? And made it obvious that you were an actress, but also a dancer, a dancer
Mhm.
who acts, which I thought was great.
Mhm.
Right. So now you also have this business. How you built an online business, and then you're also, so how's that? How's that part of your life going?
It's going great. So you're the one who pushed me to do it. Do you remember?
Yes.
Yes. So when you were still coaching me, the one-on-one things,
Yeah.
I don't know if you still do those sessions. But anyway, so I did the online course during the pandemic and I launched it and it went pretty well. I made some good cash and then I was a perfect, I kind of get into my perfectionist brain where I was like, "Ugh, I need to do it better." So I then when the pandemic was kind of like over and I started teaching one-on-one, I paused the online business and then I started doing more in person because I also was kind of like craving more in-person interaction with students. But it's going really well. I did some advertising first, but now I barely advertise at all. It's kind of running by itself, word of mouth, and also, the nature of ballet is like you can't just take one class. You have to do it weekly or a couple of times a week. So I have my consistent clients. Some have been with me for a long time, then there's some new ones. And so, about this wealthy actor podcast, right? I kind of thought about it this morning that I remember before starting my business that I felt that there were certain things that I couldn't afford as an actor, right? And I thought, okay, well, if I get a big audition, I need a coach. That's expensive. Well, I need new headshots, not all the time, but every year or 2 years, right? I'd like to update them. There's so many things, acting classes, all these programs, workshops you need access to. And I'm someone who likes to be training all the time and kind of like up to date to a lot of things in the industry. And so I thought, okay, I need to have income. enough that I can sponsor in a way my own career, right? That I don't feel like, okay, this big audition came along and I can't afford a coach. And so after I launched it and I started kind of being very consistent with my clients, and it's been running now for like 4 years or so. So I finally feel like I can do whatever I want in my acting career. So, for example, my camera broke and I need a new camera. I can afford it. Back in the day, I'd be like, oh, sometimes I would just use my iPhone, but I just prefer a camera, right? So I know that, so I also have a savings account that I specifically opened for my acting career. So every month for years now, I've been putting money away there. So whenever, I need something or a camera, for example, that is almost $1,000, I can take the money from there. And I feel like I can be in control of my career. Or if I get a big role and I need a couple of coaching sessions, I don't feel like, oh, I don't want to spend, $200-300 on coaching because it's away from my account. But now I feel like it's sitting there specifically for those moments. So I finally feel, I guess like a wealthy actor. That's why I'm here visiting today.
I love that you said that because I
Mhm.
mean, you took your other talent of dancing and turned it into a money-making prospect. But we all have something that we can turn into a money-making prospect. But I think what's more important is that you have a good mind around money because so much about money is the mindset,
Mhm.
right? And not living from a place of lack. There's people that I have known for years that are always going to hire me, but they never have the money. And it's like, yeah, you're never going to get the money because I know where you're coming from. You're coming from a place of lack. And so I just think you are coming from a place of wealthy actor, a wealthy mindset, which is beautiful. I love that. And so that makes a big difference.
Mhm.
I,
Yes, everyone, please ask questions in the Q&A if you can. We'd love to take some.
well,
Yes, go ahead, James.
I was, you've talked about the big leap. How did you go about, like, give us a little bit of story if you can about Hedgehog.
Oh, Hedgehog. Yeah. So that was just basic audition. I submitted myself, self-submission, and they were looking for Eastern European because it was actually after the Ukrainian war started. And it's about a Ukrainian girl, and I was playing her mother. So it was just the right thing. Also, like I speak Russian, and Russian is very similar to Ukrainian. And so I got an audition, and then I got the call back, and we did like a chemistry read with the little girl.
Hmm.
And yeah, so I got cast, and it was a very quick turnaround. We filmed it really quickly within a couple of months, and then it was ready, and they submitted it to a bunch of festivals. And it was just the right timing because of the war. A lot of festivals screened it. We were in Dances with Films, and then a couple of festivals in Europe. It's been 3 years, so my memory. Also, I'm a little bit sleep deprived from having a baby. I've noticed my memory is not the sharpest at the moment, but there was a lot, like literally like 30 festivals or something. So, yeah. And so we got Oscar qualified and we screened at the Academy screening room in LA. So that was really, really exciting. And that was just in general a really great experience. And I really miss the whole festival circuit, kind of that whole experience visiting festivals and meeting people. And
Mhm.
actually, that goes to making connections and keeping up with your connections because there's a lot of filmmakers that I met through the film. And of course, you can visit the festival, but if you have a project in the festival, that's the best way to meet filmmakers. So there's still some screenwriters that I'm in touch with. And I remember Valerie was like, you have to keep up, you have to email these people because they're going to forget. And I tried to push myself to still stay in touch. And there's a couple of filmmakers actually that we still do our Zoom calls, we brainstorm ideas. We are thinking about new film ideas, what to collaborate on. So, yeah, so that was in general a very great experience, kind of like expanding my connections, expanding my business. And yeah, what else? I don't know.
That was good. Did you say you have a baby?
Yes, so I gave birth 7 months ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's
I
so
guess you weren't
wonderful.
logged in yet when we talked. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
lovely.
You were so cute. I saw a couple pictures when you were pregnant. I was like, so like I love this like little tiny girl with the little belly. It's like I love when I see a really skinny little girl pregnant because it's always
My
like,
belly was huge. It was just me and the belly here. But
So,
yeah, it's been challenging.
so
But
can you talk about that? I worked in coaching with a few actresses who went on to have children, and one of the questions was, how do you balance the acting career with having a child? And, like what challenges are you facing that are different from what you had before? And how, like how do you frame it for yourself in your life?
yeah, well, it definitely changed my life completely. And I thought, I'm an Aries like Val.
mhm.
So I was like, I'm just gonna give birth, and like 2 months later, I'm just gonna get back to it, and I'll just do it. I'll have the baby in my arm here, and I'll like study the sides, like I was
Mm.
imagining that. It wasn't quite happening that way, but I'm getting back. It's been 7 months. I'm doing my auditions, but it's a little bit challenging because our baby is not sleeping through the night yet, so I'm waking up. So I've been quite sleep deprived for a while, but it's getting better. So when you get an audition, you're like, okay, well, I guess I'm gonna study these sides on a very foggy brain and do the best of it. But yeah, it's something that I'm still kind of like trying to figure out. And also finding somebody to take care of the baby while I do the audition. I do have a nanny, but it doesn't always work, schedule wise. And I think in general, the best thing, you just have to find those free moments, do the auditions whenever you can. And I don't think my life is ever going to be the same. I mean, it just won't because I have a person to take care of. But to be honest, I'm still kind of like getting back. And my goal and I'm glad actually to be a guest on this podcast today because it's kind of inspiring me to get back to the old me where I'm like pitching myself, pushing myself, because I've been a little bit just like in a survival mode, getting back in shape and getting back to acting class and all these things. I think it's possible. It's just very different, and you have to be patient with yourself.
And Anais had a baby.
Yes, she
You
had a baby too.
wait, did you guys probably the same time? Both my old clients that were ballet dancers both had babies.
So she had a baby like 5 weeks later than me or something like that. Yeah. And we were like, how did this happen at the same time? It's crazy. Yeah.
I know
That's
it's
Yeah.
crazy. So I saw this game of power thing. What's this about?
You know
Is it
what? I've been cast in it. Well, I pitched myself. That was 4 or maybe 3 years ago. It's been in pre-production for years. I hope it
ah.
happens one day.
And then you got another guest star on Law and Order, right? Yeah, what tell us about that?
No, I worked with Carl Weathers. He was directing that episode.
Ah.
Yeah, he was so sweet. And then he passed away a couple of years later. But yeah, I played an author, and it was just like one of those very basic auditions for Law and Order. You know how it is. Like you're a victim. I think I was at this restaurant, and that was already 20, when was this? 2022? Yeah, 2022. So then I was mugged and all that stuff. But anyway, it was super great experience because it was local to New York. And that too was a very quick turnaround. I auditioned and I was on set the following week. Very great experience. Everybody was so, so welcoming. I love actually FBI and Law and Order both. I had such amazing experience. Everybody is just so friendly. I'm like, is it always like that on set? Yeah.
I've had pretty
yeah.
good fortune with TV myself. Occasionally there'll be
Mhm.
something that happens that's not great, but most of the time it's been great too for me.
The confusing part was they dyed my hair dark. And I was like, wait a second. Like, aren't there a ton of brunettes in New York City? I didn't understand. And so they wanted, because the killer was in after darker complexion, So I was like, I guess the audition worked, that they just needed my interpretation. And I thought, that's crazy, but I thought I got really lucky. there.
Well, Law and Order is the gift that keeps on giving. So,
Yeah.
because of the pit, I've been getting some good ass residual checks. I did ER in 2005.
Really?
Yeah,
And oh
21
wow.
years ago. But because of the pit,
Yeah.
that is all playing all the time now. So it's been really good. But Law and
That's
Order is like the gift that keeps on giving. So
yeah, and FBI too.
yeah,
That's great.
yeah.
That's great.
They were screening it in Spain too, so I got some foreign cable something. Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. So
Thank
we have a question. Sophia says, congratulations, Elina, for being a mother. And
you.
then from your experience filming in Europe, what in your opinion is the best way to book in Europe? To submit yourself, keep sending emails to customers? Is there a casting platform you use?
I didn't film in Europe. So actually, are you referring to Hedgehog?
Yeah,
She
I'm
she
sure.
she might be.
So we actually filmed here in Maryland, but they made it look like it was Ukraine. So it was in this little forest area in Ocean City, Maryland. The town is called Berlin, and they just made it look like Ukraine. Because in a short film, you don't need that many locations, so it was easy. But yeah, that's a good question. I'd like to audition in Europe myself. But yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have. And oh yeah.
Oh, she said, okay, I thought you filmed it. But I want to say something about that, Sophia.
Mhm.
I mean, there's so much work right now in Europe. I mean, I
Mhm.
have this client in Budapest that booked 4 days opposite Adam Driver and then 3 days in a new Apple TV show. No agent. She was just going directly to the casting directors because she's in Budapest and she was going local. But I also think that they need so many people right now. There's so much filming. So I
Yeah.
do really believe in going directly because I ended up having to help this girl get an agent because she had just done 4 days opposite Adam Driver in Ron Howard's new movie. She needed someone to come on board with her. And so I think, and especially, um, yeah, go directly for them. Definitely be going directly for them. And don't just worry. Yes. So, like, you guys, the shows that are being cast out of London, but are being shot in Croatia or Budapest or wherever, right? There's also local casting directors to that area. So there's casting directors in London that are connected to casting directors in LA, right?
Mhm.
Or New York, like Avi Kaufman or someone like that. But the person, that's looking for the girl to play opposite Adam Driver for 4 days, like she was looking for an Afghan girl. And this girl, she's Hungarian, right? She's not, but she has this look that can be Afghan. She had to learn the language to do it, right? But she did, right? So remember that there are people, yes, in London that are casting, but there are also people that are on the ground in wherever Budapest, Croatia, Poland, and they're shooting everywhere, all over the place.
And the CDs in the UK are much nicer too. They always respond. I'm like, wow, that's nice. Because I remember I pitched myself. They were filming this ba another ballet movie. Forgot what it was called, but they basically didn't cast professional dancers. They had body doubles, sadly. But I pitched myself and I emailed her and she responded. She was like, "Oh, we already cast the role." Like, I feel like here in America, people just ignore your email.
Well, it was so funny because I'm going to London next week for the
Yeah.
Actors Pro Expo. I hope I see you there next week. But I'm going there. And so I did an Instagram live with Felicity, who runs the Actors Pro Expo yesterday. And she was like, how have you found the difference in culture? Because you have a lot of clients all over the world. And I said, well, in the beginning, I was afraid to go to London because everyone is so polite, right? But what I have found is that it's been easier there because they are so polite. So even if they're talking dirty behind your back, they're not doing it to your face.
I think there's also something about the volume. I think there's so many people, the volume of people wanting to audition. Like there's so many people submitting themselves in the US. And I think that in Europe, people who choose acting career, like it's actually a much smaller number of people. And that actually gives enough space that people can breathe and respond to emails and respond, I
Yeah.
think casting people here are completely overwhelmed by so many submissions and so many, I was listening to, there was an interview with Jonathan Price, and Jonathan Price was talking about how it used to be, and he was saying that it used to be that you would go in and you'd meet the casting director, you'd meet the director, you'd give your audition, the director would give you some adjustments, and you actually got to play, right? And he was sort of lamenting the fact that now we put everything onto a self-tape, and it's basically they're looking at one particular choice of how we might do the scene as an actor, and they're basing everything on that one choice, and there's no space for us to play, to sort of explore, and so there it really is different in terms of our freedom to interact here versus the freedom to interact in Europe. The other thing I wanted to say was that production follows tax benefits. So the production industry is basically chasing locations based on what benefits they get. And as different countries or different states or different cities open up to give these production companies benefits, production follows that and chases it. So we're probably going to see movement into places that we haven't seen it before. I mean, always, right? This is the adjustment world that we're in. There's this game, it's always this balancing game being played. I think there's a lot happening in Europe. I think things were happening in Canada for a while. Now things are moving to Europe. But it's a good time to be. Are you able to work in Europe?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure it was still the person who asked the question.
Uh,
Yeah, so I'm able to work in Europe. The thing is, I have a European passport, I have a Finnish passport, but what I heard in the UK, it's different. So you have to have some kind of a work permit, no? Somebody
No,
told
you
me
can
that.
work like I have an American actor that works all the time.
Yeah.
He's in Latvia, but I have a lot of clients that work all the time. I mean, there was an issue that he ran into because they just changed the visa situation in
Mm.
UK, but it's not that difficult. Though,
Mhm.
you can definitely work there if you have a European passport.
Yeah, at least in the European Union.
Yeah. And
But
most of it is shot there. And the stuff that is shot in London, he had an issue with something that was shot in London because the whole rule had changed. It wasn't
Mhm.
difficult. He told them what they should do, but they decided to not cast him, which was very disappointing for him.
Mhm.
But it was just because the law had just changed. So they can't just depend on the actors in London, for what they
Yeah.
I just saw on Apple TV, I watched that Covenant Road or whatever with Emma Thompson, and there was an American couple, supposedly an American Midwest couple, that gets killed in the show. Not to give away what happens, but they were so not Midwestern Americans. It was
Were
like,
they had an accent?
no, but you could tell they were British. It was like,
Oh, really
especially like I was like, oh, you guys, you shouldn't have done that because it was a
funny.
great show and it really took you out knowing that they weren't Midwestern Americans by a long shot. And so I just thought that was funny because they do say, like, I have a client here in New York that gets auditions all the time for things in London for
Oh,
Americans.
wow.
Yeah, all the time.
Great. It
I think
could
it might be
be.
worth it for you to get an agent there.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember trying at some point. I was pitching, I was submitting, but I didn't hear back. Maybe I picked very big agencies. I don't know.
So we have another question.
Uh,
Valerie, this is from Zulima. Valerie, if an actor wants to expand into the UK, is it
yeah.
better if you attend the expo out there?
Well, it's a good idea. It's a good place for you to meet people. It's a good idea to have boots on the ground to go and meet people. Absolutely. But also, you can reach out to them without having to do that. You can reach out. They need to know that but there are agents looking for American actors because I have 3 or 4 clients that have foreign agents. So I know that they are. Anyway, there was something that you said that I was gonna, and I should write this down.
So I have a question.
Okay, good.
So when you teach your ballet class and you're doing it online, are you working with professional ballerinas? Are you ballet artists? Are you working with people who are just starting out? Like how does it work online for you versus being in the room with someone?
Yeah, so mostly right now I have aspiring dancers, those who want to become professionals, and there's a lot of those in New York City. But I do once in a while teach beginners as well. I had some adult beginners, and actually even on my website I did like a little section for actors and artists if they want to work on their instrument and include ballet in their training, and I also teach actors as well. But normally I do in person. Some who already know the technique, they're more advanced. We can do Zoom if they're, let's say, in California, or I have some students in Texas, for example. So we do virtual. It's hard if you're a beginner because I have to touch and explain, but I have more advanced students that I do virtually. So then I can kind of just verbally coach them. And let's say if they're getting ready for a competition, for example, then I say like, okay, you got to do this in this way, try this differently. And they are in a studio. So I'm basically just on a laptop as a coach, and they have a studio where they're dancing. But it would be more challenging with beginners because you have to be in person, really. I
Yeah.
would do that in New York City. But I'm a little bit picky now who I take. So now that I have like ongoing, clients, I don't just take, sometimes I have men, middle-aged men who are like contacted me. They're like, I want to take a ballet class. And then I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to discriminate, but but I can choose since it's my own business.
I remember what I was going to say. I was going to say, James, when you said that people were overwhelmed in America, casting directors, but also that being said, it's because the system is breaking down. I want to be really clear. It's not that there's more actors. I mean, Stephen Vincent himself told me that he got, 90% of the submissions he gets are completely wrong for the role.
Mm.
Hmm. Wow.
So, that's because the system for which the submissions happen, which is like a archaic algorithm that's assigning them, that's what's broken. So if the agent isn't going in there and being very specific and selecting you, then if he or she is just hitting click and submit. That's why they're getting so many more auditions, because if you look at the numbers, there's not that many more actors, right? There's more humans on the planet. So, of course, there's more actors. But Stephen Vincent told me 90% of the submissions he gets are wrong for the role.
That's
It's revealing about the problem of things like actors' access,
Yeah,
right?
it's the
And
platform itself is the
yeah,
problem.
it's not helping people to weed themselves out or their agents to weed them out.
It's sad because if we go back to pitching, I remember for some projects I would email the filmmaker more for indie stuff, and I'd say, "Hey, I submitted. I just wanted to make sure you saw this. I'd love to audition." And then they'd be like, "Oh, we never saw your submission." So they
Yes.
don't even if you have the slate shot, you have the demo reel, all that stuff that pushes you up in the system. I don't know how many submissions they get that they don't see everybody.
I always tell this story of one of my old clients was submitted herself for something, right? And then she just went on IMDb and the director had a phone number. So she called him, right? And
Wow.
he was like, I just got 3,000 submissions for this role, and you're the only person that has called me. Yes, I'll give you an audition.
To
So,
me,
like,
Wow.
and we were
yeah.
the other day we were teaching a user generated content class. And in
Mhm.
the middle of it, someone sent me a pitch email to sell me user generated content that they wanted to do it for my company.
Mm.
And I had to talk about it in the class because I was like, you guys, this person just pitched me. They did not say one thing about me or my company. They're just doing a template that's all about them. And it makes such a difference. And I wrote her back. I was like, you know what? If you'd have done your research and found out a little bit about what I do and who I am, which is super easy to do, it would have benefited you. So, like, a big thing to
Huh.
all of you guys, like, when you're pitching, make sure you're talking about the person you're pitching to,
Yeah.
you know, because sometimes it's just as easy to like look up their credit, see, oh, I seen you did this. And, because we like to hear about ourselves,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. I pitching to me is working more and more and more than it even did before, I think. So
Mhm. Yeah, it can be hit or miss, but I think also like what's the worst that can happen if you pitch? Like you won't get a response. That's really the worst.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Hmm.
I agree with you absolutely. And one of the ways that I would frame it in our own heads is that we tend to be motivated by fear of. So behavior tends to be motivated by I am afraid of this result. And so asking the question, what's the worst that can happen is really good. Because if we ask what's the worst that can happen, then we've eliminated the worst fear, right?
Yeah.
We send a pitch video, they don't like it. Is that so horrible? Not really, right? Because you put yourself in front of them, right? So they didn't like it. That's all right. Or I didn't fit. That's all right. You
All
know,
publicity is good publicity, right? Don't ever forget that. So this last year, I had a girl that sent a thank you note to a showrunner after she got an audition. And the showrunner was just confused because he didn't know who this was. And so he called the casting director. Well, the casting director decided to get mad, right? And she
Hmm.
called the agent out. The agent ended up dropping my client. Now, thank God this was one of those clients that is very emotionally mature. And so I was like, thank you, Jesus, it was her, right? Like, and not someone else. Well, and then that woman said, I'm blacklisting you. Like, there's a blacklist and you're never coming in again. Well, since that happened, she's called her in 5 times. The casting director that said she'd never call her in again. And she got a way better agent. So I always say, like, remember that all publicity is good publicity because maybe you piss someone off, but guess what? They're who they're going to remember. And they're not usually going to remember you because you pissed them off. They forget that part.
Yeah.
They just remember you.
Yeah. Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
yeah, it's the kind of thing where someone says like, don't I know you? Right?
And you're
And it's
like,
like,
yeah, I
yeah,
pissed
you
you
really,
off once.
you really like
You
me.
You know, this made me think of a couple of years ago. So I was going through production list. I use that sometimes to see what projects are filming. And I decided to pitch myself for Baby Girl, the movie with Nicole Kidman. And at that point, I didn't know what the movie was about much. There's like just a couple of sentences about it. And it didn't say who was casting it either. But I found the assistant director on IMDb and I thought, let me email him. And so I emailed him and he was so nice. Like sometimes you just get nice people, sometimes you don't, and sometimes nobody responds. But he was like, "Oh, Elina, hey, thanks so much for reaching out. It's Avi Kaufman who is casting, you know, the movie." And I said, "Oh, okay. Well, I don't have her contact info. Would you mind forwarding my materials to her?" And he did, and he CC'd Avi Kaufman in the email. And then she responds. So now I have her email, but she responded, I don't know who this actress is. I'm like, I'm just asking to audition. And so I never got any audition, but it was funny. And I felt a little bit like not so great about it. But then I thought she will never remember, if I
no,
get some kind of audition from her
no.
later. But yeah, I got her email now. So,
She never
but
remembers.
she didn't seem very,
She's
okay.
very New York. I mean, she's cast me in something before, so she was lovely then. But like, some people are just that way. Their personality. She's such a New Yorker. That kind of like, no, go away.
Know who this is. I'm not considering you. I need to know you. It's like, okay.
Yeah, she's really like that. And boy, she's had a hard time lately. She got her whole email and everything got hacked, and these people were sending out false bookings and using her and made her look super bad. And she was, so she's been having a time with the hackers, apparently.
Uh,
So, yeah. So that's unfortunate for us sometimes because, like, yeah, the
Yeah.
hackers can, piss them off and then they're less likely to read our emails.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's who she is.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
heard it. She even did it to me once when I did a drop off to her office. I was like, you cast me in something.
Yeah.
Take a chill. But she yelled. I was like, okay. I'm very Teflon with that kind of stuff because it doesn't really matter.
It's not
When
gonna
someone
remember.
yells at you, it has nothing to do with you. 9 out of 10 times, it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with whatever's going on with them right then. And it's inappropriate to yell at people.
I agree. So then I want to ask you a forward-looking question. What for you, if you could imagine like where you are in 1 year to 5 years from now, what's your vision forward for your career? What are you imagining for yourself?
Well, listen, it's a tough question, but I have it very clear in my mind. I hope it happens. Let's start manifesting from this moment on. But definitely, I see myself as a reoccurring or a series regular because I feel like I've had, a couple of guest stars. I've done the co-star, I've done some indie films. So that's my next focus in general. The work that I've done with my materials this year kind of pinpointing more towards the direction I want to go to and also being selective with my auditions as well. I'm also looking for a manager who is going to really advocate for me because I'm kind of tired of just like submitting and not pitching and all that stuff. So yeah, I definitely see myself working on TV long term. So that's my goal. Hopefully it happens sooner than later.
I think that's a great goal.
Yeah.
I think it's great. And I think it can happen for you. I really do. You are super determined. I've had a lot of clients, and you are very determined. And I told you this when I met you. I always like when a ballerina hires me because I know they're going to be disciplined.
Yeah.
And and there's that perfection thing, but that's okay because it does serve you in your content and your materials. Like, I'm looking at your images on IMDb Pro. They're perfect. You seem like an actress that should be a series regular, and I believe that you will get that. So let's just keep believing that and putting that forward, because
Thank
I
you.
that I do believe that's your destiny. Who did this one with the pink off the shoulder?
Mark Cartwright in LA.
It's a good picture.
Cartwright. Yeah, I think Cartwright is his last name. It's also, I tagged him on my Instagram.
Mm.
He did that one and then the one in the leather jacket.
Ah, yeah, I like those. I like them a lot. Good. Yeah. And I love that you have your IMDb is, because I hate when I open images on IMDb and it's just headshots. I hate that. I
Yeah.
love that you have everything. You have action shots, and it's great. It's really, really good.
Thank you. I literally just updated it a month ago. Because this year I was like, I'm going to be on point with my materials. I want to be more. So, as actors, we're like, oh, I can play a girl next door and like a secret agent and I can do all these things. I've been going kind of like back and forth with, yeah, sure, I could do that. It kind of like goes with my type, right? But then I was like, okay, I need to be more specific. Not just pinpointing one role, but like three kind of like what's in your wheelhouse, and I looked through all my auditions and I saw, okay, what do casting directors, what headshots speak to them, and what kind of roles do I normally get? And from that, I like narrowed down just very specific types. And then I was like, I'm gonna just put that out there on my IMDb, on my Instagram, on my website. I still have to work on my website a little bit more, cleaning it up. But yeah, I think it's very important. So then whenever people kind of go and look you up, it's very clear, like, oh, okay, she could be the secret agent, or she could be the mother. I don't even think it's so much about the title of the role is, but like the energy, right? Like troubled or mysterious. It could be a mother or a secret agent with the same kind of energy. Do you agree with me on
I
that?
do
Yes.
agree with you. I think the more
Mhm.
clear you are about where you fit and you're
Mhm.
showing them exactly where you fit, the more likely you are to get hired.
Mhm.
It's like no one's buying versatile. No one is asking for versatile. No one's buying versatile is great for acting class, but the
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
specific you are and what you're putting out there, the more likely you are to get hired. And you were a bitch on the dance show. You were the prima ballerina.
Yeah.
You do that well. You do
And
that.
thank you. And then on FBI, I was a secret agent, also a bitch. So, it's kind of like it's very different, ballerina and a secret agent, but they're both bad people. No way, or like bitchy.
No,
Yeah.
but that's exactly right, right? It's
Yeah.
we need to know what fits us and how other people experience us, and that can appear in any spectrum of character roles, but not every spectrum of character feeling. And it's about learning how to identify that. And I would say when we watch movies, when we watch TV shows, when we watch plays, we need to be able to spot the role that we could play.
Yeah.
We need to be so attuned to it that we immediately say, "That's my role." I mean,
Yeah.
Valerie does that well all the time. Valerie will get sides and she'll be like, this is not my role," or she'll be like, "This is mine."
Yeah.
You know,
Wow, you should be on the White Lotus. Do you see
I
yourself on White Lotus?
I
Yeah.
would. Yes. My friend Chris Messina is going to be on it this year.
Oh my
I was like,
gosh.
oh, I'm getting closer. You know what show I should be on is Landman.
Love. One of my
Yeah,
favorites.
because
We watch it right now.
Like literally Stephen K directs every episode, who I did Baby with the Bathwater with in 1989.
Yeah.
And Billy Bob Thornton I did a movie with, Allie I did a movie with, and John Hamm I have a long commercial running with right now. And it's like Gilbert's like, this is your show. And also Texas, I'm good at that. And I'm like, I need to get on that show. Taylor
Yeah,
Sheridan.
so funny. So funny. The mother and the daughter duo is the best. They make me laugh so hard.
They're so good.
Yeah.
It's such a good show. I'm
Like,
so sad that I'm done watching it and I have to wait till next season now.
oh,
Uh, it's so
that's
good.
the worst when you have to wait.
but it is the right time to pitch yourself. This is the moment.
Are
You
they
know,
still casting the White Lotus or is it already filming?
I think it's probably filming. They announced the cast, but
But
I'm gonna.
probably guest stars could still happen because several episodes, right? Or do you
Yeah,
think?
most of the time they don't really have that many guest stars, and they're still just doing like major people, and
yeah,
so yeah.
Yeah.
But
but
I'm gonna definitely pitch myself for Landman.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Yes.
great show.
Yes.
That's great.
Uh-huh. All right. Well, listen, you have been fantastic. You
Oh,
have
thanks
been
for having me.
fantastic. And we really loved having you here as a guest today. Thank you so much for doing it. And it's so good to see you. I miss
You
you.
too. Oh my gosh, this was so fun. We have to I'm like, I need to be in touch with Val more so I have this
Yeah.
powerhouse energy.
Yeah,
Do you take kind of
I
clients once in
do.
a while one-on-one?
Yeah. Yeah.
You do. So you don't have to be signed up to your program necessarily.
Well, you can call me. We'll see. Yeah, we can work it out. And for sure, we have to have a coffee.
Are you in New Jersey still?
Uh-huh.
Because I'm in New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I moved. I think I moved after we coached. So
Uh-huh.
2020, like at the end of 2021.
Oh,
It's been
yeah.
a while. Where are you in New Jersey again?
In Orange.
I don't know New Jersey that well. Isn't that funny? Because I'm like really close. I'm in Edgewater. So
Uh-huh.
I always go to the city. And I
Yeah,
don't go
yeah,
the
yeah,
other
yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I'm sure it's not too
It's
far.
not far.
Yeah.
No, it's not
Okay.
far.
Let's have coffee.
Okay, let's do.
Yeah.
All right. All right. All right. Good to see
Awesome.
you. Thank you for
You
being on it.
too.
And
Congratulations.
Thank
I'm,
you.
congratulations
Great
on
seeing you
everything.
guys.
yeah.
All right. All right, you guys. We'll see you next month then for our podcast, and I'll see some of you guys in London. All right. Bye,
All right.
everyone.
Yay. Bye,
Bye.
Thanks.
bye,
Bye.
bye.